This is the Patriots Catch-22 podcast with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
I'm Evan Lazar. Evan Lazar. Hello, everybody.
Nailed it. Joined as always by our Barth.
That's a fit. That's a match.
No risk it, no biscuit.
22.
Here is Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
Remember a couple years ago, the conversation was, well, the Bills have Josh Allen, they're a wagon. The Dolphins just signed this wonder kid offensive genius named Mike McDaniel. And look out, the Jets got future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Like, there were people saying for the next 5 years, the Patriots can't win the division. Don't even bother. Right? And it's not to take a victory lap or defend the wall, wave the Patriots flag. That's not how the NFL works. There is an undercurrent, an active undercurrent in the NFL designed to make the good teams bad and the bad teams good. With the
Push everybody back to the middle.
Right. What the great organizations know how to do is hold off that undercurrent as long as possible. 20 years is ridiculous.
Yeah.
20 years is by no means the standard. It never will be. It will never be done again.
22.
Are you sure about that? Never be done again?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty
Not
sure
to
about
that
that.
level.
I'm pretty sure about that too.
Not
but
to that level.
Patriots are set up pretty good, Barth.
They're set up pretty good. Only 19 years
Young
to go.
coach, young quarterback.
I'm looking forward to the next 19 years.
Hello, everybody. It's Evan Lazar, Alex Barth, getting way ahead of ourselves, talking about another 20-year run of dominance. Catch-22. We're going to talk about this Chargers game. Huge win for the Patriots on Sunday. A season validation, I would say, for the Patriots on Sunday against the Chargers. We will also, of course, talk about the Houston Texans. We'll spend a lot of time in the first hour on this Chargers game. Second hour will be all Texans. So we'll get plenty of preview about Houston, because I know a lot of people by now, as much as it was fun to revel in that win. And Monday was really a fun day because you didn't know who they were playing.
I was going to say, the Monday night playoff game is an affront to every one of my senses. Like the national football, you dump on college football for being minor league.
Yes.
They play their playoff games on weeknights. The National Football League should not be playing playoff games on weeknights.
Yeah.
But it was kind of fun when it's your team waiting on the outcome of that game to see who you're going to play.
And all Monday, you didn't have to really worry about the next team yet. You could just kind of bask in the glow of what happened here on Sunday night. And that's a big picture where I wanted to start was, just by saying one of my favorite parts about Boston sports and Boston sports culture and doing this job and being a fan of the Boston sports teams is that we are championship driven people. We are championship driven. Like, we do not celebrate wild card wins with parades or banners or anything like that, like some other places might. All right. We don't do that here. We are Super Bowl or bust. We are title or bust. And that's really, we shouldn't lose that. Like, that's a great part about this city and these sports fans. With that being said, there are sometimes exceptions to these things. And I do want people to take a second to just appreciate the turnaround that we are experiencing right now.
Yeah,
for the
I
New
think
England Patriots.
this is a unique situation where, like during that 20-year run, everybody would always laugh at, the advertisements for the clinching the playoff, clinching the division gear, or like everybody be like, who has a conference championship t-shirt, right? No, you get the Super Bowl t-shirt.
I have a 01 one because, back then
01 was different.
We didn't know.
I think I have an 04 one because I got it like a yard sale and I just like the design of the shirt.
Yeah.
But I bought it
the 01.
I bought it like 10 years after that game.
The 01 AFC Championship hat rocks. It's a much cooler hat.
It does. And can we bring back the old championship trophies too while we're at it? Those were so much better.
Yeah. You don't like the new ones?
They're fine. The old one was cool. That was felt like rustic.
I don't know why.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I don't know. This was silly of me. But
I don't know why we're going down this road.
When I started working here, I didn't realize that the AFC Championship trophies are also in the trophy room upstairs. Like,
I thought they're at the hall.
For some reason, I thought that it was just the Lombardis. No, the AFC Championship trophies are also.
There's definitely some in the hall, unless those are like the other one. Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I ruined the illusion.
Yeah, this is like Hollywood acting, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
But yeah, like I think that this.
So the point I was making is we used to laugh about that. This is a unique one where, like, because of what the expectations were coming into the season, because of how young the team is, like you said off the top, they're positioned pretty well. it is more like we're celebrating. I think you can celebrate the steps while acknowledge that the steps are not the ultimate goal.
Right.
You know, when the expectation is to make the Super Bowl, yeah, you're going to kind of look at a wild card game and be like, okay, cool, moving on. When the expectation is to win 9 or 10 games,
right,
you're going to look at that wild card game a little differently. So next year, maybe we don't do the hullabaloo about the wild card. Hopefully, it will feel like less of a deal at that point. That'd be a good thing. But I think right now you can get away with that. By the way, we do have a little bit of Patriots breaking news here.
What is it?
The Patriots
have
let me find the exact word here, are signing former Texans defensive end. I don't know if it's Daryl or Darrell. It's 2 R's, 2 L's. Daryl Taylor.
Okay.
To the practice squad, according to Ian Rappaport, quote, with the strong possibility of elevating him for the playoffs. This is a guy that just got waived by the Texans last week.
Okay.
Former 9.5 sack guy for the Seattle Seahawks a couple years ago.
I recognize the name. I'm not super familiar with the player, to be honest with you, but
Yeah, but signing somebody who just got cut by the Texans?
we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Anyways, the
Little revenge game, little Daryl Taylor revenge game.
Yeah, they're gonna pick his brain and they're gonna get all the secrets.
Oh, I wasn't even going there.
They're gonna get all the secrets about the Texans defense that doesn't do anything exotic or anything.
All right, well, I wasn't even
confusing
thinking that.
anyways.
I was thinking it's Daryl Taylor.
Yeah,
I was thinking more like
he's a spy.
revenge game. No, you're gonna put him out there, gonna elevate from the press squad. You're gonna put him out there, and they just cut him, and he's gonna go nuts.
Okay, maybe. But we'll get to all that. But thank you for that information. 14 wins, a playoff win. It's not normal. It's not normal to win 4 games back-to-back seasons, and then the next year you win 14 games and you're in the divisional round. That just doesn't happen that often in this league. It really doesn't. And I think that people should really appreciate that. And now, as we start to talk about this Chargers game, I do feel like I needed them to win 1 playoff game. I did not want them to go win 14 games in the regular season and then choke in the playoffs. And then we all have the whole soft schedule thing for 6 months of the offseason. Like, I didn't want to do that thing.
Yeah.
But now that they won a playoff game, the house money thing is starting. You got to.
No, have you heard the Chargers suck?
But you have to, at some point, now, I think, feel like they are super ahead of schedule. They're further along than anybody thought they would be. And we're starting to get into house money territory now, where even if they go out on Sunday and it would be disappointing if they lost to the Texans, you had a really good season, a really, really good season in the first year under Mike Vrabel. So all that is from here, I feel like, is maybe a little bit of gravy, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm guarded in this take because I remember in 2021 saying they're ahead of schedule, like they're probably going to lose to the Bills, but whatever happens.
In 2021.
Well, but they didn't even need to. I remember just thinking, hey, they made the playoffs. I feel good about where they're at. Like, yeah, they're probably going to lose to the Bills, but it feels like they're on track. They're making progress. And then the way in which they lost that game completely changed that conversation.
Yeah.
So you can't get your doors blown off by the Texans. They, to your point about, they should. I do think they should win this game, but if it doesn't look competitive, that would be kind of alarming. But I'm mostly with you.
I think if they had played the Texans last week and got blown out, just like they did against Buffalo in 21, I'd probably be more on the same page as you. At this point, I think that winning this playoff game really did add some validation and add some substance to this season that is beyond anything the 21 team did. The 21 team basically lost 4 out of their last 5 games.
Yeah.
I think the Jaguars game was the only one they won against a interim head coach and a Jacksonville team that was completely in shambles. Was the only game they won down the stretch that season, and they got their doors blown off of them by Buffalo. This is a completely different ending to this.
No, it is. It is. I'm just saying, like, it's easy to say in the moment I feel good about where they're at. It's the National Football League. One game can change it a lot.
Okay, so the other thing that,
but I don't think that's going to happen. For what it's worth,
Yeah.
I leave myself that breathing room after learning that lesson.
If they go out there and lose 41-17 or whatever the heck
Yeah.
that game was, and they don't force a punt, then sure. But that, I think,
I'm not anticipating
is
that.
pretty crazy to think that would happen. Let's get into the Chargers. I think the other big picture thought, just specifically on the Charger game, that I had is I couldn't help but feeling that this game was so similar to Super Bowl 53.
You know who said that? David Andrews.
Really?
And he played in that game.
There you go.
Well, he said he didn't want to compare it because Super Bowls are different, but then he realized they were similar.
Yeah, and I don't want to always like harken back to the past and be like, that old man on the stoop and be like, hey, remember when Tom Brady, did this?
Well, I mean, even down to the one big catch by the tight end at the end of the game to seal it.
Yeah, I mean, the way the game unfolded, it was obviously a great defensive performance. It was a great game plan defensively. They needed, the big thing that we said going into the game is that they needed the defensive line to dominate and really expose the Chargers offensive line. They went in there and did that. Excuse me. Maybe not exactly how we thought they would. There's probably a little bit more blitzing and a little bit more pressure from the linebackers, especially than what I envisioned going in. But either way, they figured it out. They cooked up a game plan that was able to really just completely shut down the Charger offense. And honestly, one of the better defensive performances the Patriots have had probably since that Super Bowl, right? And then offensively, in the second half, Josh McDaniels had one card in his back pocket that he played, and they figured it out late in the game to get the Chargers into base defense with the 6-0 line package, and they made some plays in the second half. And just like in Super Bowl 53, they put one drive together off of 6-0 line. In this case, in the Super Bowl 53, it was 22 personnel with 2 tight ends and a fullback. This was the jumbo package with Thayer Munford. They get base defense on the field. They hit a tight end on a vertical route down the field, and it wins the ball game. So a lot of similarities to that game. I as much as I want to give Zach Core his flowers, and he deserves all the bouquets that he's getting, I also think it's really, really difficult for an offensive coordinator whose offense is not having its best game going up against a really good Charger defense and a really good play caller in Jesse Minter, to have a guy like McDaniels that can stay calm in that moment and adjust in the second half and get Drake Maye going, 11 for 14 in the second half after being 6 for 15 in the first half. That's why Josh McDaniels is here. That's why he's one of the best coordinators in the NFL. So I get it. They only scored 16 points, and I'm waxing poetic about how great the coordinator was on the offense. But I think that in some ways, it's almost harder to do what they did on Sunday night than it is to come out with a great opening script and just go right down the field with a great game plan, right? It's harder to get into the game, realize that the Chargers defense has a great plan and is executing at an extremely high level, and then be able to make those adjustments in the second half that McDaniels did to get Maye going a little bit. That is why you pay him the big bucks. That's why he's one of the best.
Well, prior to that game, they'd scored at least 23 points in all their wins.
Yeah.
So they hadn't had to win a game like that. I'm with you. I think McDaniels called a good game. I think the execution at times is why there weren't more points on the board. I think they left some opportunities out there. And, Drake Maye basically said as much after the game. So I thought McDaniels called a good game. I thought he managed it well once it became kind of clear what kind of game it was going to be. And, yeah.
I just think when you sit there and say, the coordinator was great, and when you score 16, people are going to be like, how do you say that?
No,
this was, like I said, certain times I think it's harder to do what he did than to come out when you have a great opening script or you have a great game plan against a good defense and you're just shredding them like that. That's when it's fun. That's when it's easy. When it's hard is when you have to pivot to different things and you have to figure out or find a solution over the course of the game. This is what you get on my guys all the time, is that they can't do that.
Right.
So I think that that's such a big part.
He tailored his play calling to the way the game was being played, which I think is a lot harder than it sounds.
Yeah. So let's get into the defense, though, because they're the ones that drove the bus here this week. The defensive game plan, I think the biggest thing that I can compliment them on is Justin Herbert just seemed like he was seeing ghosts. And there was good pressure, especially in the second half. But even early in this game, when I didn't think the pressure was totally out of control yet, it just felt like Herbert's clock in the pocket was all thrown off. Like he was, should I stay? Should I go? Do I have time here to hold the ball? What are my answers to pressure? Like all these different things that we talk about with quarterbacks being sped up in the pocket. They just had Herbert rattled really from the jump. And there was throws on tape. I know a lot of them are going around of like, oh, he could have hit McConkey here or he could have hit Quentin Johnston there. But they had him in a blender and he didn't know what he was looking at, which I think is another testament to coaching and the plan of, the disguises and the different things they were doing to confuse him. But the biggest thing was that time in the pocket. Like he just did not know. And it wasn't always like staying in the pocket too long or leaving it too early. It was like a combination of all the above, where he was just not sure which button to press to get the ball down the field. So to me, when I see a quarterback, especially of Justin Herbert's caliber, playing like that and playing sped up, that tells me that the defense was doing something that had him completely confused. And that's a huge win for Zach Core. Huge.
Oh, yeah, massive. And they didn't even, it's funny, for as much as we've talked about the pass rush, I thought it was underwhelming in the first half. And then obviously they eventually got it going. But to your point, even when Herbert had time, he didn't seem to know what he was looking at in coverage. And I think that's a credit to the guys on the back end and the way they were playing one of their better coverage games of the year. And they were able to confuse them and make him hold the ball. Even when he had time, he either had nowhere to go with it or he felt like he had nowhere to go with it. And at a certain point, those are the same thing. Yeah.
So 45% blitz rate, one of their highest. I believe that is their highest of the season so far. They sent 5 cover 0 blitzes at Herbert. All of them worked. They had some line stunts going too in this game to get the pressure going as well. And then they absolutely spun the dial coverage wise. They called 6 different coverages in this game. Different shells, man, zone, all of the above. They were in their bag. They were in their bag. And the 45% blitz rate, I personally loved it. I think that this is hopefully signs of things to come. We'll see when we get out to practice, Alex, in a couple of hours. If Christian Gonzalez is out there or not, that might, change
Impact things. Yeah.
But we've been talking all year about trusting these corners more. And you have these 3 good corners, 3 good man corners. Why are the Patriots not trusting them a little bit more, being aggressive? Like I go back to remember the Rex Ryan defenses with Darrelle Revis, and Rex would just blitz the crap out of everybody because he just knew that he had Darrelle Revis and he didn't need big time safety help over the top or double teams or whatever the case may be. That's what this game felt like from the Patriots point of view. Christian Gonzalez was great on Quentin Johnston until he went out of the game. Marcus Jones was great on Ladd McConkey, and they just felt good about their matchups against the Charger wide receivers, and they won those matchups pretty decisively. And that just allowed Zach Core to send the house, literally and figuratively at times. Robert Spillane and Christian Ellis, I thought, were excellent in this game. That was the next point I wanted to make. This was one of the better games that the Patriots linebackers have played all year, probably their best. Ellis and Spillane were just incredible in this game. Both of them had multiple pressures, blitzing the quarterback, multiple run stuffs. Spillane had a pass breakup where he almost picked it off. Actually, he hit him right in the hands, popping out of the rush. Christian Ellis had a couple spy reps on Herbert to kind of close the pocket or chase him down when he scrambled. Watching Robert Spillane direct traffic out there too in the communications, it was fantastic. This is an area of the roster at linebacker that I think we've all had our concerns about over the course of the season, whether it's pass defense, run defense, all of the above. And they showed out in one of the biggest games of the year. This was by far their best performance.
Yeah, it really was. And I think we talked a lot last week and the last couple of weeks about what's wrong with the defense. Is it schematic issues or personnel? And I think we're on the same page that they just needed to get guys back. It's a good reminder that, it's not the logo on the side of the helmet that's winning you games. It's the players wearing the helmet. And you saw how different it was when you get some of those big free agency additions. Milton Williams, I know he'd been back for a week, but, seeing him really get going, getting Robert Spillane back, like you saw what a difference it made having those guys back on the field.
Yeah, so gold stars for the linebackers, gold stars I thought as well for Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, and Kayvon Chason. I thought all three of those guys were extremely disruptive. Milton Williams obviously had the 2 sacks. Him and Barmore combined for 7 total pressures in this game. Chason I had with 2 sacks and 5 pressures. So between those 3 guys, 12 quarterback pressures, 4 sacks.
It's a complete day.
We said that Barmore and Williams needed to dominate, and they pretty much dominated this matchup. Now, maybe it didn't start that way, and it wasn't complete.
Yeah, they more than made up for it.
It wasn't complete and utter domination, but it was pretty close, and that's what they needed out of these guys.
Yeah, no, they, like you said, they didn't start, and I think what helped was, how much of that like heavy blitz thing do you think was the plan going in versus was an in-game adjustment?
I think it was a little bit of an in-game adjustment.
I think so too, and so you
because that's what just based off of what Vrabel said after the game when he said that's what the game kind of needed was for us to turn up the heat.
You saw the way they were covering on the back end. The pressure wasn't getting there as much as you hoped, and you turned it up. And then once the pressure started coming, those guys were really able to pin their ears back and go.
Yeah, I mean Barmore just denting the pocket consistently in Justin Herbert's lap, and then Milton Williams, man, like watching Milton Williams rush that gear that he gets to when he's one-on-one, whether it was that speed to power bull or the arm over the center, the swim move, like that, he has a different level of explosiveness than the rest of the Patriots rushers do. That he is just a different gear when you watch him play, that they haven't really had that. That we talk about, like in the draft, we often talk about like playmaking gears, right? Like who has that ability to just kind of make those splash plays. Milton Williams has that in droves, and I don't know if they've had a guy like that maybe since like Judon was, really humming in like 21, 22. So he's been great. The other, kind of standouts, I mentioned them a little bit briefly before. I thought this was another tremendous Marcus Jones game. I mean, just unbelievable. Maybe the best player on the field for the Patriots defense. He covered Ladd McConkey on 20 routes in this game, basically shadowed Ladd McConkey, allowed one catch for 20 yards on a extended, scramble drill man coverage play, and had multiple tackles, had the tackle down by the goal line of Justin Herbert on the quarterback run, chopped him down. That was a sneaky important play early on in this game. If he doesn't make that play, you don't get the 4th down stop, you don't get the turnover on downs there. It's a completely different game. So Marcus Jones, I think he's played at a Pro Bowl level this year. I think he should have gotten more recognition in the All-Pro and the Pro Bowl voting than he did. They have a slot cornerback now in the All-Pro voting, and he was like 4th or 5th on the list, and I was like, this is a joke. Like, this is he has definitely deserved more recognition than he got. He's had a tremendous year. Like I mentioned, Christian Gonzalez, until he went out with the head injury, I thought he was really, really good against Quentin Johnson, pretty much dominated that matchup. Ran the route for Quentin Johnson on that one that he almost picked off, that I think he actually got hurt on. But, just really good in this game as well. This is what you were hoping for. This is what you've been looking for out of these corners once we get into the playoffs. Flip that switch and be dominant there in the back end, and they were dominant.
Yeah,
all of them.
They absolutely showed up, and that's kind of the performance we thought we were getting going back to the summer.
Okay, a couple of sneaky, like, good players on defense, and then I'll talk a little bit about the offense. Craig Woodson. Sneaky good game.
Really good game.
Tackle for loss early on in this game, a run stuff. I thought he hit well. I thought he tackled well in the open field. I thought he was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive. He took away a read on a Herbert scramble, playing the deep part of the field. I mean, he was really, really good in this game, and it's really flown under the radar with Craig Woodson. Because of Campbell and Henderson and Wilson and all these other rookies that are also contributing. Craig Woodson's played like every defensive snap this year, and he's held up. There has been some good and some bad, like any rookie, but he's been as good as any Patriots rookie, I would say, this season, especially considering the volume that he's playing at. He started every single game, and he's played like 99% of the snaps. I think he deserves a little bit more love. Maybe he doesn't have he's not the starting left tackle. He's not the splashy player that Travion Henderson is, so he doesn't necessarily have those moments. But when you watch the film, he is consistently flying around and making plays.
Yeah. He's been really good. And the fact that he hasn't come off the field, I think he's played their most defensive snaps, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's close. It's got to be.
Just unbelievable what they've gotten out of him, and a guy that looks like he's going to continue to get better as well. I thought he was good. He had the tackle to blow up the screen, right?
Yep.
To Quentin Johnson. I thought was a big play when the Chargers started to move the ball a little bit. That's the one that stood out to me, but overall, I'm with you. Good game.
Yeah, it was, just pulling it up now. He has played 93% of the defensive snaps. That's the highest on the Patriots, and he's played 950 total snaps, which is also the highest on the Patriots. So this is a rookie, 4th-round pick that's played the most defensive snaps on a team that's won 15 games. And
That's nuts.
I don't think that we talk about it enough.
No.
And so I think
I just did my PFWA.
Yeah.
I assume we're allowed to talk about these publicly. I don't know.
It's okay. You'll be fine.
I mean, I had him as, all we do an all rookie team too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
and it's a strong safety
PFWA
class.
has you guys vote on way too many.
Yeah,
things.
it is. The all AFC and all NFC is when it starts to slow down a little bit. But
cumbersome.
I like the all rookie team. It's kind of cool. Although there were like no rookie centers that even played this year. So that was a little tough. But really good rookie safety class. Nicky Minwari, Watts.
Yeah.
Malachi Starks in Baltimore, and Woodson's right up there with him. And a lot of those guys went a lot higher in the draft, but Woodson's right up there with him.
Yeah, he was really good. The other sneaky good player I thought in this game was Anthony Jennings, who just absolutely clocked Justin Herbert. Honestly, I don't know how Justin Herbert got up after that one, but I think Anthony Jennings, and we'll get to this when we, a little bit more when we get to some of the not so good things from this game. I think Anthony Jennings, every single time he plays, I feel like he makes an impact. Whether it's, we know he can set the edge, that he's been able to do that his whole career. In this game, I thought he got after the passer a little bit, had a couple of pressures, had a sack. He was really good in this game. So 2 guys, we know about the 2 corners, Milton Williams, Barmore, the 2 linebackers, they were really good. But I thought Woodson and Anthony Jennings were also sneaky good in this game. So moving over to the offense, I kind of look at this game, maybe splitting the baby here a little bit with Drake Maye. I really thought Drake Maye played pretty well outside of the turnovers, and it wasn't his best game by any means, but I would call this more of like a mixed bag than a disaster or like a bad game for him. Still had 330 total yards of offense when you add the scramble yards with the passing yards. This is a really good Charger defense. They had a really good plan, which we'll talk more about in a minute. But, he had I look at it and say, I think he had like 3 or 4 elite plays in this game. Obviously, the touchdown pass to Henry. The check down to Stevenson was more like a great catch and run, but still, you're in your own end zone. There's
after just throwing a pick in your own end zone.
And there's an unblocked blitzer coming right at you in your own end zone, and you have the wherewithal to see that Stevenson sneaked out of the backfield and there's nobody on him, and the ability to dump that off. That's not Vrabel talked about it on Monday. Like, that's a poised play for a young quarterback in a playoff game. The 42-yarder to Booty, I thought was a great look off and throw. Henry touchdown I mentioned. Couple of really good scrambles. The 37-yard scramble basically gave them 3 points. The 8-yard scramble where he shook off a sack in the pocket and scrambled for 8 yards. Another good one. So I think that there's plenty of good plays that he made in this game, and he outplayed Herbert. He just flat out outplayed Justin Herbert. So at some point, we're going to talk about the turnovers and we're going to talk about some of the issues that they had in this game. But at the end of the day, if you outplay the quarterback that's on the other sideline, you're going to give your team a chance to win most days. And that's what Drake Maye did. He gave him a chance to win.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And that was the big difference in this game. There's 2 plays. There's a scramble at the end of the first half, which gets you the go-ahead field goal, a little bit of momentum going into the break. And then obviously touchdown pass to Hunter Henry. Drake Maye did not have his best day. But when he needed to make a play, he made a play. And sometimes that's quarterback. You're not going to throw for 500 yards every game. Tom Brady had those games.
Yeah.
Super Bowl 53, when he needed to make the pass to Gronk, he made it. And Drake Maye, when the play was there to be made, he made the big plays. And Justin Herbert certainly did not. The first snap of the game, he has Ladd McConkey wide open for a touchdown and just sees him.
Yeah.
And just doesn't throw the ball.
Yeah. His eyes were down at the rush.
Yeah. It was not good. So I thought with Maye, there were flashes of rookie Maye. There were definitely flash of him as a rookie, things we maybe haven't seen for a while, especially some of the ball security and the pocket stuff. But
He was trying too much to be a hero.
right, we were talking about him maybe being a little too fired up, a little too frazzled in his first playoff game. And we've seen him clean that stuff up before. It looked a lot like some of the mistakes he made in that Steelers game. And then, we kind of put him away. We didn't really see him again. So I trust him to clean them up again. He gets the benefit of the doubt there, but he does need to clean them up. Outside of that, especially in the second half, once he settled down, he had some sprays in the first half. I think the one to Austin Hooper was in the second half, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, he was much better in the second half. And again, I just go back to, and I said this before the game, I didn't need Drake Maye to go out there and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I don't think they needed that. I could have done without the multiple turnovers, but
Yeah.
he wasn't going to have his best. He didn't need to have his best game in that one. You're going to need him to have it eventually. This week probably isn't it either. Again, ball security is going to be huge, but just needed him to make the plays that were there to be made, and he more or less did that when they needed him to do it.
It just, when you turn the ball over twice and you put the ball on the ground a third time, it's obviously you can't sit here and say it was his best game.
Right.
That type of stuff is going to get you beat a lot of the time. But at the end of the day, even his bad games, he still makes some really big time plays. And if this is what a air quotes bad Drake Maye game is now, they are going to be in really good shape. like if this is what it looks like when he plays poorly by his standards, then they're going to be tough to beat for a while because this was still plenty good enough to win this game. And I think that they would take it. So we'll get to the turnovers, obviously when we get to the stuff that gets you beat. But that was my take on Drake Maye in this game. I really didn't think he played that bad. And I understand, that might be whistling past the graveyard a little bit. But I think when you really start to look at some of the throws that he made in this one, I mean, the touchdown pass to Henry is picture perfect. That is an elite, perfect throw that he makes on that one. But I also thought the throw to Booty on the 42-yard completion, he's looking right. The end drops out, which they were doing all game, to drop out underneath Diggs. And they fall into like a cover 3 with this single high safety in the middle of the field. So he looks right at Diggs. He's not trying to throw to Diggs. He's trying to move the safety out of the middle of the field because they had like the double seams, the wheel and the seam route from the tight end on the left-hand side. So if he can move that safety out of the middle of the field, then he's going to be 2-on-1ing the outside corner. So he comes on to Diggs, comes off Diggs and gives that little ball fake to the safety, gets the safety and the corner on the other side of the field to turn their hips the wrong way, and then comes all the way back across the field and throws the ball outside the numbers to Booty. Just by air distance, that's a 41-yard throw. That's not an easy throw to make. So I think in general, I thought that Drake Maye had a lot of really good plays in this game.
Well, it's funny. I just brought up that Steelers game. I remember coming in here after the Steelers game and doing a show with the Andrews as well and talking a lot about how well they played.
Yeah.
And we kind of acknowledge, hey, they just turned the ball over 5 times. It's a little ridiculous to talk about the good.
Right.
But there was enough good. This kind of feels like that. And when, I won't lie, I walked away from that show a little bit like, that was pretty homery of me. 5 turnover game and hyping them up. But I legitimately felt encouraged.
And we also didn't know.
Well, so this is my point. This is my point. I legitimately felt encouraged after that game, and I felt a little weird that I felt encouraged, but I felt encouraged, and it turned out I should have trusted my eyes because they didn't lose a game for 2 months after that.
10 in a row.
This felt a little like that Steelers game.
Yeah.
Where, I feel a little weird being as encouraged as I was about the offense. But I feel how I did after the Steelers game, so this time I'm going to trust my eyes and say I feel, that doesn't mean there's not work to be done. There is. Got to clean it up in the pocket, especially this week with the ball security. But I think there was more to like than to not like.
So a couple more positives, and then we should move on because we're already 30 minutes in. Ramondre Stevenson just continues to be awesome. Ramondre Stevenson's just playing really, really good football now for about 6 weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. The 48-yard
best football of his career.
The 48-yard check down is a great play to get off the goal line and completely flip the field. Huge play in this game. sneaky underrated part of that play, Kyle Williams throwing
Kyle Williams,
that
that's a great block.
on Derwin James.
Couple big blocks by the rookie. We didn't mention on Drake Maye's pass, the Travion Henderson pickup.
Okay, yeah. We're all.
Oh, that was a great play. Come on.
It's a great play.
He deserves credit for that.
Everybody,
especially a guy that was struggling in pass protection.
No, it was a great play. But we all have to sound smart by mentioning.
Yeah, that is the
Henderson
one
thing.
everybody wants to go. But
Yeah,
I said it in the moment.
Fact that the quarterback is falling backwards, making a throw over one of the best safeties in football, like that. But what
doesn't
about
happen
that,
without
what
the block?
About that blitz pickup? I'm not trying to discredit Travion Henderson.
I was still talking.
I'm just trying to tell you that
I was still talking about the blitz pickup to Matt Dolph as Hunter Henry crossed the goal line. I was going to mention that blitz pickup. Whatever happened.
You
on
have
that
a
pass.
great eye. Good job.
Thank you. I'm very smart.
Reminder: Stevenson really good in this game again. Hunter Henry really good in this game. The 28-yard touchdown obviously goes without saying. The 19-yard third down conversion that he had, where he sat down in the middle of the field on 3rd and 13, sneaky big play.
Yes,
sneaky big play. They were scrimmaging, I want to say, from their own 12-yard line on that play. It was 3rd and 13. If the Chargers force an incomplete pass, force a sack, whatever, now you're punting off your own goal line.
Right.
The field position completely changes. Hunter Henry gets that 19-yard completion. They move the chains. Booty gets the 42-yard completion, I think a play or two later. Now, Drake Maye fumbled at the end of the drive, and they didn't get points off the drive. But even the field position in the game like that, he fumbles inside the red zone. So, it completely changed the field position.
That was the one
Chargers.
where we've heard them talk a lot throughout the season, but including into this game about getting the first down.
Yeah.
And how much better they feel after they get the
big this week.
first down.
Yep.
And that was a great example of that.
Yeah, a really, really key play in this game. Lastly, on the goods, I thought the right side of the offensive line and Bradbury were pretty good in this game. I only had those three guys with 2 pressures combined between the 3 of them, 1 each for Onwenu and Bradbury. Moses had a clean sheet in this game against Khalil Mack, who might be washed, but still, Khalil Mack's going to be in the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame once he retires. So I thought we'll get to the rookies on the left side, who obviously had a rough game. But the right side of the line plus Bradbury continue to just be really, really solid for this team, which I think is important. It helps them in so many different ways where, if this continues to be a little bit of a slog, a little bit of a struggle for the rookies on the left-hand side, if you can trust Onwenu and Bradbury to be one-on-one backside, on the right-hand side, and you can then slide the line a lot to the left and try to help out Campbell and Jared Wilson, that can really go a long way. So, if we have to chip on that side, if you have to have Bradbury open to the left side, I feel pretty good about trusting Moses and Onwenu to hold up. Now, Will Anderson rushes over the right tackle this week, so maybe don't put Moses on an island too much. Don't leave him out to dry.
Right.
But he's held his own in most of these matchups and has been really, really good. I thought Onwenu was solid as well. So not a complete disaster from the offensive line. The pressure rate was honestly was manageable for most of the game. I thought Drake Maye held the ball a little bit in this game, and I thought the left side kind of got its lunch. But other than that, I don't think it was really that horrible. I think it was probably around 30-35% pressure rate in this game, which is manageable. Anything below 35-40% is usually okay, especially with a mobile quarterback.
And the left side hadn't played together for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So
we can just talk about that now.
Yeah, we can get into that now. We'll see. Because you guys were tweeting me during the game, Will Campbell needs to be better.
Yeah.
I'm not starting a conversation about moving him back to guard off or moving him to guard off one game. Calm down with that.
We also and I'm not trying to make excuses, but all week long we talked about Tuli, Tuapalatu, and Owe.
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack was on the right side and did nothing. But we talked about those two guys all week long.
Yeah.
That they're really, really good players. I'm just gonna call him Tuli because I can't say his freaking last name.
Tuli Pelosi. It's where I can only say it if I see it.
Tuli, we talked all week that this was one of the most underrated pass rushers in football. He was top 5 in pressures, top 5 in sacks. This was a really good football player. Owe was another guy that, we highlighted and said was going to be a problem. And they were, they were disruptive. Yeah. No doubt about it. I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now with Will Campbell that has me small c concern is he's getting walked back into the quarterback a lot. His anchor and his issues, are there against power. If you want to play that, thing about him being a tackle long term, if you want to go there, when you start talking about establishing first meaningful contact with your length, guys like Owe who have long arms, they're going to get into his chest plate faster than he can get into their chest plate. So that's what happens, and then he's going to have to get himself into the shape and the ability to anchor after that happens, because he's not going to get his hands on guys first.
For what
it's
it's
just not
worth, Andrew's assessment of that, if I remember correctly, was basically it's less of an arm length thing and more of an approach thing, in that he has the ability to set his anchor quicker, but he's not, because he's trying to win other ways. And it might just be a thing where as you grow in the league, you got to understand that, hey, like, you don't have as much time to wait and get into your anchor. You got to do it right away.
He's probably trying to catch guys more than he is trying to set out and be aggressive against them, which I can understand. But when you face like really good power rushers, especially like Tully is, like I think that him going out and getting the guy is probably the better approach.
So he's going to learn that. I mean, it's like, as much as we talked about Drake Maye, it being his first playoff game, and is he going to have nerves? Where's he going to be at mentally? They had, I think, 35 guys playing in their first playoff game, and the left side of the line was 2 of them. Yeah. So you hope that, one, they're healthier next week, and we'll see what happens with Jared Wilson if he's playing. But, another week removed from the for the knee injury for Campbell, and then maybe just, hey, all right, you have a playoff game under your belt. You kind of got beat. Can you bounce back and settle in?
I thought that he had some issues with power against Bradley Chubb too in week 18. That kind of flew under the radar because that game wasn't really all that competitive in the second half. So it's something to monitor. I'm with Andrews. I don't think that this is like a fatal flaw by any means for Will Campbell yet. But it's certainly something that has popped up probably more consistently than him getting beat to the edge, is him losing to power in his rookie season. So there's a lot of things that go into that, whether it's approach, how he's catching guys, how he's, setting, whether it's, getting in a little bit more in the weight room, and getting that core and the legs and the booty, in better shape. Like, there's a million different ways to go about that. So I'm not super concerned with Jared Wilson. We don't have to belabor the point in terms of their performance. I guess I'm just a little confused as to why this isn't more of a conversation with Ben Brown, and maybe we'll get some more insight.
How do we know it's not?
Because I thought on Friday last week, Vrabel was pretty quick to shut that down.
Well, okay, so last week I understand why it wasn't. You now have a whole other game of evidence. It definitely wasn't last week. So you're saying it should have been more last week?
I think it should be more of a conversation, period.
Well, I think now after that game, it has to be.
It might be, but I just feel like my point I'm trying to make is that Jared Wilson's time will come. Like, Jared Wilson, I think, is a starting caliber talent in this league. I think we both feel like it's probably more at center than it is at guard. But either way, like, I think he's a starting caliber talent in the NFL. But now you're in 1 game season mode. Like, this is the tournament. It's one and done. And if we go out, on Sunday afternoon and watch Jared Wilson go up against Sheldon Rankins and he gets his butt whipped, you might be going home. Like, that might decide a game, And I think there's a difference between getting guys experience, and you do that during the regular season, fine. You do that moving forward with Jared Wilson, fine. Now you gotta, this is the playoffs. Like, this is a big difference than just like, we want to get these 2 rookies' feet wet and, the week 8 against Tennessee, you know? And I think these pass rushes that they're going to face the rest of the way is going to be a gauntlet. The Chargers have a really good front. The Texans have a really good front. If you win, it's going to be Buffalo or Denver, who both also have really good fronts. If you win that game, it's going to be Seattle or the Rams or whichever team comes out of the NFC.
Playoff football.
This is not, this is trial by fire for these 2 rookies. The last thing I'd say on Ben Brown, who I'm kind of standing for right now, he's just bigger. He's just a bigger body. And I think that there's something to be said.
You can't teach size.
For that element of it. And also, like, next to Campbell, who is a narrower tackle. He's more linearly built. He's narrower. We did the whole arm length and what's wingspan thing all draft season. So having a guy next to him that is a little bit wider and takes up a little bit more space might just help him out a little bit, especially in the run game when you start to build surfaces with double teams and stuff like that. Like, I think that this conversation, I'm shocked that Vrabel was so dismissive about it last Friday. I think he was, because he didn't want it to leave any doubt. He didn't want it to sound like he was wishy-washy about it. I expect him to be asked about it again today, and maybe, it's not going to be me, but maybe somebody else can kind of ask him why, what, to kind of give a little bit more color as to why that is in the bigger conversation. So that's the rookie lineman. First ever playoff game for two rookies. I don't want to kill him for it. I just think that, it goes back to we always bring up the Ted Karras 2021 situation. Right. Was Mike Onwenu a better player than Ted Karras? Probably. Was he a better player for that combination? No. And maybe that's just the case with Ben Brown.
Sometimes you just got to go with what works.
Next thing here on my list, continuing on the offense. In the first half especially, the receivers separation. I hesitate to use the word separation because I think that's a buzzword that gets people all hot and bothered. But the Chargers covered well, especially in the first half of this game. The Patriots looked maybe a little bit confused by the match coverages specifically and how to get open against those. And then the biggest thing to me, though, as we move forward, Stephon Diggs got treated like a number one wide receiver.
Yep.
They threw the kitchen sink of double teams, brackets, guys dropping off the line of scrimmage into his area of the field, and they took him out of the game. They schematically took Diggs out. Now, it's cool that the Patriots have a coverage dictating wide receiver.
So we've been wanting.
That's a good thing. But you saw what, especially early when, Maye is looking for Diggs on third down and stuff like that, you saw what it kind of did to their passing game early on in this game. 40% completion rate at halftime, the lowest completion rate in a half by Drake Maye all season long. And to me, it stemmed from the fact that the Chargers came out and said Diggs isn't beating us. And they kind of, I don't know, it kind of threw them off a little bit. On the one hand, I'm excited that they have a receiver that's dictating coverage on like that. On the other hand, and it happened a little bit more in the second half, the other guys need to step up then.
Right.
Booty, Henry, Kyle Williams, Pop Douglas, the backs. You don't have Matt Collins. So you have to it has to come from that group. Maybe Matt Collins, if they win this weekend, will be back for the AFC Championship game, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. They don't have him on Sunday. Yeah. So if the Texans come out and they take out Diggs too, then they need these other guys to be able to win their one-on-one matchups.
This is what it is. How long have we talked about this? We're finally here, getting a guy that dictates coverage. And, look, Diggs has had games in his career where he's been a coverage dictator. He's gotten that attention. He's still produced at a high level because that's what the great ones do. You think teams aren't dictating coverage like Justin Jefferson? Of course they are. But at 32 years old, does he have one more of those games in him? Remember, it's a revenge game for him too. The Texans said thanks, no thanks after his knee injury. We saw what he did to Buffalo earlier this year. So, it'd be great if he could just do that. But even if he does, you still, this is what a high level offense is. There's going to be attention on one pass catcher. And even if that guy gets going, they can't take the attention off that guy because he's too good. Yeah. So now you have other Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams, Hunter Henry, the running backs. You have chances to be one-on-one and win.
Yeah.
Are you going to take advantage of those chances? Are you going to win one-on-one? Because you're like Kayshon Boutte, probably not going to see a safety over the top as much as he usually does if they're putting that attention on Stephon Diggs. Same for Kyle Williams. Not going to see that safety over the top with the deep speed. Pop Douglas, they're not going to be able to bracket him, and he's going to have some of those option routes where he's going to have a side where he can go. He's going to be able to win leverage without having to worry about a defender lurking, things like that. So it's exciting because how long have we been talking about the coverage dictating wide receiver, and here we are.
Now you almost lost them a game, but here we are.
Well, so just because that guy's out there doesn't mean you're going to win. You got to now take advantage of it, but it's an adjustment. I would think they're gonna hammer this week, but it's been a while because even Edelman, as good as he was, just by nature of where he played, not as much of a coverage dictator.
Yeah, I think that it's different, and this is what you saw with Diggs. Like it was a lot of brackets or like guys dropping off when he was inside the formation, because it's easier to double guys when they're in the slot versus when he's out wide. So, they were able to kind of bracket him in. They had like Tyre Tart, like all 340 pounds of him was dropping off the line of scrimmage, like right into slant windows. Maye's fumble, everybody's killing him for it at the end of the game. That was a bad time to fumble for sure. They just drop the end right underneath Diggs. He wants to throw it to Diggs on the slant.
Right. That's supposed to be a quick throw, because you see the tackles both cut.
Yeah, and he's trying to throw it to Diggs on the slant, and the end just drops right underneath it. He's going to throw it right to him if he throws the ball.
Right.
So he's got to hold the ball. Now he's got to protect the ball after that. But, these are the things that they were doing. The Chargers were, to their credit. And I don't think the Texans dial it up quite as much as the Chargers do. But they did double DK a little bit on Monday night.
Yep.
And so, different types of receivers.
Well, Rodgers also kind of helped them take DK out of the game. But
But they had some dedicated doubles on DK. Now, different types of receivers. But the Texans do not, I know we'll get to the Texans more in the second hour, but the Texans don't travel their corners. Like Stingley's not going to travel with Diggs, but they will bracket receivers when it's not Stingley, right? Like when he doesn't line up over Stingley, they will send brackets to either, they'll slot or Lassiter or whatever the case may be. So that was, I did not think that there was a lot of open receivers in the first half of this game. And that was, to me, that's not to sit here and say they don't have enough at wide receiver. I think that's more about scheme. That's more about execution. That's more about the Chargers having a really good game plan. I don't think that receiver separation has been a big issue for this team this year. I think they've actually had plenty of open receivers, as Drake Maye's MVP season can attest to. So I wouldn't say that this is something that's been an issue for them this year. Last thing on the bads, I just didn't think Harold Landry looked very good in this game. I just didn't really have very many impactful plays for him. Didn't register pressure, didn't register stuff. He had a good tackle when Vidal picked up the fumble and ran with it. He kind of saved a bigger play there. But if I'm the Patriots, similar to the conversation we were having with Jared Wilson, Anthony Jennings and Elijah Ponder, I think, have been playing pretty well.
Jennings played really well in this. Ponder was good too, but Jennings played really well in this game.
I just wonder how many of Landry's snaps they start to take away and give to those guys.
Or is that where maybe Darrell Taylor comes in?
You're very good into this Darrell Taylor thing.
I mean, this is a guy that was like, he was a roster. I don't really understand why Houston cut him.
Because they have like 17 pass rushers.
That's true. Okay, they have a ton of depth there. But like, he's not a guy that's like, oh, he's kind of a fringe roster player. He's going to bounce around practice squad. He's been on teams. He's a 16, 17 game player.
I just feel
he
like
played a full season the last 4 years, and then this year in Houston, he was buried a little bit.
I just would be really surprised if like you get a guy off the street and then he's immediately playing snaps over Landry, Jennings, and Ponder, who have been here all year.
So I just go to Rapport saying, like, highlighting the possibility of elevating him.
I'm sure Darrell Taylor's agent really appreciates that.
Fair enough.
Let's do the bads, or the stuff that gets you beat. That was all I had for the bads. I mean, defensively, like I don't know what you want me to say. There's no bads defensively. They were great.
Just not a little more consistent pressure in the first half. That was it. They just didn't really get the pressure, but the secondary held up, so it was fine. Yeah, I think that's all I had.
Stuff that gets you beat, the turnovers, obviously.
Yeah.
Drake Maye. The tipped one, you always kind of give the quarterback a tiny bit of a pass on tip balls.
The fumbles bothered me more than the pick.
Yeah, now the tip balls bother me still a little bit because like you can change arm angles, you can move.
6'5".
Yeah, but like Tart is also a big freaking dude with a huge
but I'm just saying, like when you're 6'5",
like get it over the line.
Right? Yeah.
I would be really interested to see like the strong correlation between quarterback height and tip passes, because that's obviously conventional wisdom, but there are a lot of tall quarterbacks that get a lot of batted balls.
Is there a database that separates batted at the line versus...
Yeah, PFF does it. Off the top of my head, I can think of a couple of guys that are usually near the top of the league that are tall. So I think it's more about...
Here, batted balls. Here we go.
Arm angles, knowing...
So Trevor Lawrence was number 1 this year. He is tall.
Yeah, he's like 6'4", 6'5".
He's 6'6". But then you have Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
It's like 6'1". Jared Goff's like what, 6'3"?
Jared Goff's over
Jared Goff's not tall. He's not short. He's 6'4".
He's over the threshold.
Okay. Sam Darnold, a little on the shorter side.
No, he's not. He's like 6'4".
6'3".
6'3", 6'4".
All right, fine. He's in the intermediate.
We're talking about
Bo Nix.
If we're measuring like, do they pass the threshold?
Okay, so we're gonna say 6'5" and plus is tall.
All we're saying is
I'm gonna define
when
it.
when you
Let's
go
do
into
this.
the draft and you say, what's the threshold for quarterback height?
Yeah.
Lawrence and Darnold and Goff definitely pass.
But I'm
the
saying
threshold.
there may be a difference between the guys who are at the threshold and the guys who pass the threshold. So I'm gonna say 6'5" and up is tall.
Yeah.
We'll call it 6'3", 6'4" threshold. 6'2" and below is short. Is that fair?
Fine. Sure.
So we have tall, short, medium, short. How tall is Dak?
Dak's on the shorter side.
Dak is 6'2". So Dak is short. I always forget JJ McCarthy. Yeah, JJ McCarthy's okay. He's 6'3", so he's just in that medium. Justin Fields, short. Bryce Young,
short.
Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is only 6'1", right? 6'2". Yeah. So there's only one guy there that's tall. There's some guys that are average. There's only one guy there that's tall, but he just happens to be at the top of the list.
Lawrence, Goff, and Darnold are good enough for me. I don't know, that's enough for me to say
where was Drake Maye in this?
It's not just a super short quarterback problem.
Drake Maye was tied for 17th.
Like, it's not like this list is like Kyler Murray.
Okay, so
Bryce
I was going to say,
here's Caleb.
Here's who Drake Maye was tied with.
Russell Wilson.
This is an interesting grouping of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, Drake, and Justin Herbert. So you have two talls. You have two talls.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 talls. Daniel Jones is tall, right?
Yeah.
3 talls, 1 short, and 2 mediums.
So again, is there a correlation?
I think there's a little bit of correlation, but maybe not very strong.
I'm sure some nerd has done this study.
Yeah.
I'll look it up later.
He also had less batted balls this year than I thought he did.
So that was the pick. The fumbles, to me, I thought he was kind of, I think fool's the wrong word. Like, it was a good scheme by the Chargers in both instances. The first one, I said going into the game, the Chargers played like a very little man coverage.
Okay, one more. You know who's tied for the fewest?
Who?
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, he's short. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying.
Right.
The first one, the Chargers play very few snaps of man coverage as a defense. They play on first and second down. They were only playing man coverage on 9% of their first and second downs this year, which is the lowest in the league. On that first fumble, it was second down. They played man, and I think it duped them a little bit because he has Henderson open in the flat,
right,
against man. He's waiting for Diggs. He thinks that Diggs is just going to sit down in a little curl window on his own coverage, and they end up getting man. Now Campbell gets beat off the left-hand side, and it was too quick for him to go from 1 to 2. But if he had started on Henderson, he would have just completed the ball in the flat to Henderson. But I think that he was expecting zone. They played man. The second one, they dropped the end out, and underneath Diggs, he wanted Diggs on the quick game on the slant. They dropped the end out. It wasn't there. He had to hold the ball. In both instances, I just felt like he tried to be a hero. He tried to hold the ball too long in the pocket and make a throw from a muddy or congested pocket, and the rush collapsed on him too quickly.
Yeah.
In games like that, when it's 6-3 or 3-3 for most of the game, in games like Sunday against the Texans, a sack is better than anything else in that situation, right? Like, a sack is a fine outcome. Even if you're on your own side of the field, punting is a lot better than a fumble recovery touchdown.
Playing field position.
Right. And the one that he fumbled at the end of the game was so unnecessary. And then on top of that, it bounced like straight up in the air and almost went right to a Charger for a fumble 6. Like, that was this close to being a fumble return for a touchdown. So these are just like the little things that it's so hard to analyze with him because he's such a good playmaker that you don't want to take the gunslinger out completely.
Right.
But in these types of games, especially when you have a lead late in a game like they did on Sunday night, you can't fumble there. You just can't put the ball on the ground. Take the sack, punt it, play field position, win the game. Like that. That's just all it is. But did you have any other thoughts on that? I don't.
Well,
want to.
I think it's encouraging that we talked about it earlier in the year that these were issues, and he turned around. And when I say he, him, Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel, Ashton Grant, like they got it fixed. He really. How many of those fumbles did he have after the Steelers game this year?
Not many.
Was maybe one or two.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that when he plays poorly, it's usually fumbles. It's not usually like he's only thrown multiple interceptions. I think in one game in his entire career. I think it was against.
No, that's not true.
I think it was against the Titans last year. The interceptions are usually not the issue,
right?
It's usually
but I'm saying like he's had games like this and cleaned it up and put those issues away for a long span.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt to do it again. Oh, he has only oh no, wait, that's this year. I thought he had. No, you're right.
Yeah.
No, he had two. The Houston game, his first career start.
Okay, so besides his first career start in the NFL.
That is a little relevant to this week.
No, it's not.
It's a little bit. A lot less than people think it is, but a little bit.
It just like the Chargers last year was not relevant to the Chargers last week. The Texans last year is not relevant to the Texans this week.
Will Anderson was damn good in that game.
Okay, so that's the Chargers recap. We're gonna spend the second hour, last 15 minutes of the show, talking about the Houston Texans. We'll take some of your calls and your emails, but we gotta send it to break. We'll be right back.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Catch-22. Catch-22.
All right, we are back, and Brunt Workwear makes work boots and apparel that are built for the job site and is the official sponsor of the New England Patriots and the Gillette Stadium Field Crew. Their gear is comfortable, durable, and named after the real workers in the trades that helped design it. You can even try Brunt out on the job, and if it doesn't blow you away, they let you send it back. Save $10 on your first order at bruntworkwear.com/Patriots or with coupon code PATS. I'm such a sucker. I will read your read if you send me free shit. It's that simple. Like, we have all these reads.
Wait, put the swear in the ad read, Evan. Good job.
They're all great. I really appreciate all of our sponsors. I really do. I'm not being facetious at all. But if you send me free boots like Brunt did, every show you get a read. That's how it works. All right. Now, I mean, Aaron's is great too. They have great snowblowers. They're the official snowblower of the New England Patriots. I live in an apartment. I don't really need a snowblower.
I feel like it's hard to get free snowblowers.
Yeah, like I don't really need that. I'm not gonna lie. But Toyota, I'll take a Toyota. We're gonna actually give the Toyota.
You should pronounce it right.
We're gonna give it to Paul. We're gonna give it to Paul. He needs it more than I do. So we're gonna give it.
Also pronounce it right.
They don't care. It's fine. All right, let's take these calls. These people have been waiting, and then we'll do our Texans preview here.
Yeah.
If I can get this mouse to work. Hello. There we go. All right. Patty is in Agon. What's up, Patty? Patty.
Good morning, gents.
Hey.
Good morning.
I got a lot to unpack, so I'll make it quick. The first things first, they are playing with house money with me. Vrabel, I think, made good on every single one of his promises in his first season, which is crazy, in his opening press conference. I said going into this game and into the Chargers game that I said to myself, I didn't say this really to anybody else, but I said to myself, I think this team can win even if they lose the turnover battle if it's -1. This coming game, I think we're going to, if we're even, I don't know that we win. I think we're going to have to at least get one turnover off these guys or win the turnover battle by +1 at least. I think we can test these guys deep. I think we should be able to bootleg out to Danielle Hunter's side. I wouldn't do it with Will Anderson because he's too complete of a player. And Evan, I know I give Alex a lot of love on the show. I got to give you somebody. So I want you to shine. I want you to tell me two things. One, do you see kind of a similar game plan that Josh will employ like they played against in Super Bowl 49? I know they had Michael Bennett. They didn't really have too many other game records on the defensive line. And what do you think are going to be the best pass concepts, to beat this Houston defense? I'll take it off there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks.
So can I go back to something he said at the beginning real quick? Because I just think it's an interesting point. And this isn't to pick on Patty. He just said something that I've heard this week that I want to differentiate. He mentioned that Vrabel followed through on all the promises he made in his introductory press conference.
Yeah, he did.
Those weren't promises. Those were pillars. And
they were objectives.
Right. And I want to point this out because I think it's so core to understanding what Mike Vrabel's trying to establish. He didn't go out there and say that stuff to be braggadocious.
Yeah.
He didn't go out there and say that stuff to say, we're going to the AFC East. We're going to win the AFC East because we're New England Patriots. Because he's just setting a baseline expectation. Because when he says that, as he set it as a goal and he gave them something to reach. The goal wasn't necessarily even to get it done year one. I'm sure they're glad to do it, but it's not like the idea that it's a promise.
They were goals.
They're not even goals. They're pillars. It's what
pillars
you're going
is
for.
like the team identity poster. Those are pillars.
Right. I think
effort and finish. That's a pillar.
I think winning the division is in some ways a pillar. Like, I don't know, when I hear people say like, okay, he fulfilled the promise, it implies finality to it.
Yeah.
There's no finality to this.
Hopefully not.
There shouldn't be. But I don't know, when I hear it like promise kept, like I understand. I think it undersells what they're building. So no offense to Patty.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple people phrase it that way. No, he went like, if he had to go up and give a State of the Patriots press conference, kind of the same kind of press conference after this year. Hey, Mike, what are your goals? What are your pillars? What are the objectives? I don't think he would change a single. He probably wouldn't say we're not good enough to take advantage of bad football, because they clearly are now.
Well, in January they weren't. It's a totally different roster.
That's what I'm saying. So he might not say that part now, but if he had to go give that press conference today and answer the same questions, really not much is going to change. And if he had to do that every year, I don't think much is going to change. I don't think it becomes. I don't think the goal swings up. I don't think the goal swings down. Like, okay, we did this, box checked. I think it's for each individual year. This is what we're going to set as the expectation, and we're going to reach it. It's not a promise. It's like you said, it's an objective, and it's a repeatable objective.
All right. Lucas is in Maine. What's up, Lucas? Lucas. All right. I left him on hold for a while.
So
Lucas, call back.
I was going to say, we can go back to one of Patty's other points I think you were going to hit on there, right?
I wanted to start talking about the Texans. I want to give that its due. So here's my opinions on the Texans. And I want to preface this with, this is not me saying that this is going to be a cakewalk.
You're going to get in trouble on Twitter again, aren't you?
This is not me saying it's going to be a cakewalk. This is not me disrespecting the Texans. I don't like the Broncos, okay? I don't like that team. I don't like that coach.
Me and you.
This is different. You don't like the Bills.
I was going to say,
I don't like the Broncos.
On Saturday, our conflicting hate watches are going to go crazy.
That's going to be, well, see, it's also hard because I also wouldn't mind being the one that kicks the Broncos out of the playoffs. So if they lose to Buffalo,
I wouldn't mind being the one that kicks the Bills out.
Now I'm just saying,
but I also want the easier matchup, which I think is the Broncos.
I kind of think
even going there
that they want to play the Bills again.
I think they do too.
I think
they probably want to play the Steelers again. Frankly,
I think they really feel like they left Buffalo off the hook in Week 15, which they did. They had a 21-point lead, I think it was, right, or 20, whatever it was. But.
We might need to watch that game together on Saturday, though.
Anyways,
that's going to be an all-time grunge watch.
I don't like Denver. Everyone knows that. I don't like the quarterback. I don't like the head coach.
You have your own version of what the Bills are to me now. This is great.
Sean Payton.
Although it's not that I don't like Josh Allen.
I think Sean Payton, his press conference the other day was, again, just like hubris and ridiculous.
Yes, let the hate flow. This is great. No, keep going.
This is no.
Keep
I'm
going.
Done. I'm done.
And the quarterback
get clipped. I'm done.
This is excellent.
This is not that with the Texans.
Feel your ears getting a little hot?
Okay, a little bit. Yes. That's not that. Like, I'm not saying this about the Texans. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards a really, really good defense. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there. That being said, I like the Patriots in this game, and I'll tell you why I like the Patriots in this game. I will always take my chances with Josh McDaniels against a defense that does what it does. A defense that doesn't game plan very much, that doesn't send a lot of creatives or exotics. I call them exotics. Like, they don't spin the dial. They don't blitz a lot. They don't disguise pressure. They do what they do. They
line it up.
They put 4 guys down on the line of scrimmage. They put 7 guys in coverage, and they line it up. And they say, play ball, and we're going to be better. We have better talent. We have better execution. And to their credit, they are damn good at it.
See, those are the kind of, on either side of the ball, because there's offenses that operate that way too.
Yeah.
We talked a bit last week. Josh McDaniels gets predictable at times, but he can get away with it because of the talent he has. Those are the kind of groups that scare me because it's, we don't need to get fancy. We don't need to confuse you. We don't need to, you can know exactly what we're doing. And we can still beat you because we're that good. Like that mentality, the talent you have to have that mentality at this point. Now, if a 3-10 team is lining up that way, barbecue chicken alert. But like a team at this point in the year that plays that way scares me because they know how good they are.
But the reason why I push back on that is because, like, as an X's and O's guy, every coverage has voids.
It's Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's sometimes.
No, I'm telling you, every coverage has voids. The quarterback said that last week. Every coverage has holes.
Right, but you have to have the talent to exploit that.
Yes and no. Like, if you're going to go out there and they're going to play
So if we put me and you out there, we can try cover 2 man?
Obviously not. But if you go out there, they play 3 different coverages.
Yeah.
They play quarters, they play cover 3, and they play man. That's it.
2 man, right?
Normally it's cover 1.
Okay.
That was more of a facetious joke that I sent you. Not actually accurate. They play 3 different coverages.
He sent me the picture from Madden, the play art.
Yeah, because that's what it is. They played 3 different coverages. They play nickel defense with 5 defensive backs, and they play with a 4-man rush.
Petrie's awesome. He's almost another linebacker.
I think Petrie's probably sneakily their best player. Like, really? As good as Anderson and Hunter and Stingley are.
Wow. Okay. I wouldn't go that. I like him. I wouldn't go that far.
I would say he's their X factor.
Is he their most impactful player? I don't know about best.
He's their biggest X factor.
Okay.
He's the reason why they can hold up in nickel. Like, if he wasn't as physical and aggressive,
he plays so much bigger than he is.
He's the reason why that they can hold up in nickel. But when you go up against, to Patty's question, when you go up against a defense like that, I really like McDaniels and I really like Maye as a young quarterback who's uber talented. He's not going to get confused by what he's looking at. He's going to understand the coverages that they're running. They're going to have plans for all of them. When you play zone, especially zones like the Texans play, there's a lot of different flood concepts, just like the one that they ran on Hunter Henry's touchdown last week that beat those coverages, that throw the ball outside the numbers against those coverages, which not every quarterback can do consistently, but yours can. The other angle, that Patty mentioned about throwing over the top, these are my 3 pillars, okay?
Yeah.
My 3 pillars to this whole thing and this whole take. And then I have one other spicy take that we'll get to in a second. They, as good as they are, They are 14th in the league in terms of explosive pass play rate allowed.
So it's
How often,
right next to where the Chargers were last week.
No, the Chargers were good. The Chargers were top 5. They're right in the middle of the pack, which for a great defense is a little bit lower than you would expect.
Yeah.
So they are susceptible to big pass plays. They do give up big pass plays they're not 30th, but they give up big pass plays a little bit more than you would expect for a great defense. The other thing that I think is really important in this game, and you brought this up to me yesterday when we were texting about it. Have you seen their numbers against scrambles? And against mobile quarterbacks, they're not great.
They have allowed, and I found part of the breakdown. I couldn't find the whole thing. Most of it is scrambles, not all of it. They have allowed the most yards per rush, second most yards per rush to quarterbacks in the NFL this year. It's 6.4 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Most of that is on scrambles. Now, they have the fewest quarterback rushing attempts against. So the volume skews a little bit. But you can run on this team. And I think, as much as anybody, we have a bunch of people call in, why don't they use Drake Maye's legs? Why don't they use Drake Maye's legs?
This is a game where you're going to have to...
I've always said, it's not worth the risk. I'd rather run him not enough than too much.
In the playoffs now.
Right. Now you're in the playoffs. You're against a team that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. This is one of them. This is a game where I'm kind of telling Drake Maye, you see it, you go.
Yeah.
And protect yourself, get down, but because they got some Petrie, Al-Shire.
Al-Shire worries me in that
old school.
Yeah.
These guys are going to try to take
That's a nice way of saying it with Al-Shire.
These guys are going to try to take his head off.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, it's the playoffs. You got to kind of try to do it. I think it's just a card you can play that I'm okay with them being reluctant to play most of the time. This is why you're reluctant to play it. So when you have a game like this, he's in better shape for it.
So I think they can be beat over the top. And I want to add to that. We're also talking about the best deep ball thrower in the NFL.
Yeah.
So this is a huge area of strength, the number one most explosive passing offense in the league versus a middling explosive pass defense.
And if they want to stay in man and you start hitting them deep, you're going to get them in a 2-man. And now the rush lanes are going to be everywhere because you're not going to have a spy or robber or whoever in the middle of the field.
That's why I think running in this game is important, because it pulls that safety down. The player that they could maybe have play robber or play over the top and too deep. Now you have to allocate a spy to Drake Maye, and now you're going to have single coverage all over the map. And now you're just going to be playing man free with the single high safety up top. Like, it just opens up the passing game if he's running. Yeah. So they're bad against scrambles. They're bad against, I shouldn't say bad. They're bad against scrambles. They're middling against big plays down the field, deep passes, middling. The last thing that, is really sneakily under the hood that I think is extremely important in this matchup. They don't play like any base defense. They play pretty much all nickel. But when they are in base defense, they struggle to stop the pass in base defense. So how can the Patriots get them in base?
They are Munford.
So I think that's probably...
Munford's become the new Adrian Waddle.
That might be like the last thing that you try, kind of like they did with the Chargers. Like, I don't know if you come out in that, because I don't know if you want to waste that early on in the game. Now, maybe they do because they feel like they want to get a lead on this team, which I think is a way that they could approach it. But the biggest thing that I look at is under the hood against 6 O-line jumbo. And let me preface this with saying it's not a huge sample size. But against 6 O-line jumbo, they're only 21st in EPA per pass. They're first in EPA per pass normally, right? Okay. So they're the best pass defense in the league against like standard formations. They are 21st against 6 O-line. So average against deep passes, bad, just flat out bad against running quarterbacks.
And I just want to, I said 6.5 yards per carry earlier.
It's higher than that.
It's higher because I forgot to take out kneel downs. I'm trying to figure it out right
now. I have the numbers. I'll give you in a second. And
7.2 yards per carry.
It's more than that. And then
that's on all runs. It's not just scrambles.
Now you're interrupting me.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm losing my train of thought. They are on scrambles. They're averaging allowing almost 10 yards a carry.
Okay.
On pure scrambles.
Okay.
So I think what you're factoring in is like design
runs,
which tend to push the number down.
But I wouldn't hate seeing some of those.
So middling against deep passes. bad, flat out bad against scrambles, and then below average against 6-0 line, passing out of 6-0 line. All three of those boxes are boxes the Patriots can check at a high level. Like, we're not just talking about, oh yeah, they could do that. Like, we're talking about the 6-0 line package is a regular thing in their offense. Like, that is a regular package that they use every single week. They are the best deep ball passing team in the NFL and have been all season long. And they have a dual threat quarterback who can run. And I thought on Monday night, a younger, more nimble Aaron Rodgers got out of the pocket a couple of times. Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career can't really do anything with that.
Yeah.
But Drake Maye can. So if Drake Maye can get outside the pocket, which I want to talk about how and why this happens. So the Texans only rush 4 guys. They don't blitz, and they only rush 4. So on the offensive line, going across the line, there's 6 gaps. So if you don't have 6 guys, that means that there's 2 open gaps, right? If you rush 4 into 6 gaps, that leaves 2 open gaps. So for a quarterback, like, there's going to be escape routes if you can find them. There just are. It's just numbers and math. So as a team that only rushes 4 all the time, they leave open gaps on the line of scrimmage. And of course, they are aggressive. They want to get after it. Those 2 edges especially, but Rankins on the inside too is also a problem. And so they don't just sit back. Like, they want to pin their ears back and they want to get after the quarterback. So Drake Maye can get out of the pocket in this game. Now, I would highly recommend he step through the middle of the pocket and not try to go out the back of the pocket, which is what Josh Allen kept on trying to do earlier this season when they played the Texans. He kept going backwards, which is not what you want to do.
Well, that's what he does.
Because those edges are so fast that they're going to catch you. But if you go up through the middle of the pocket, there's a lot of options, a lot of things that open up for you if you do that sort of thing.
The only problem is that's where Al-Shaair is. So
it is
stepping up into, but
there's a lot of open space there on film with these guys. So that's a big part of it. The other just element of this too, I mentioned this yesterday on PU. The Texans are 31st in the league in yards per carry allowed to scrambles by quarterbacks. Yeah. The 32nd team, the last team in the league, is the San Francisco 49ers. They run the same defense.
Yeah.
So it's a weak link of the defense, of the scheme that they're going up against. So I think in a unique way to the Patriots personnel, to Drake Maye, I think there are some areas that they can exploit against this Texans defense. I really do. And I think the last thing that I would say about all of this is this is just kind of defense in the NFL now. Like, this isn't the 85 Bears. Like, there's no more like dominant defenses. There's really, really good defenses.
Yeah.
And the Texans are a really, really good defense. But to me, there's always plays to be made on film. Even Pittsburgh made some plays in that game on Monday night. Now, they didn't make enough of them, but they even made some plays down the field against this team too. I just don't know if there's if it's possible defensively to like really go out there and take away every blade of grass anymore. Like, the offenses are too good.
Not like it used to be.
The quarterbacks are too dynamic. The rules favor the offense. We know that too. Last thing, and you're going to hate this, so I can't wait to tell you this.
You want to like go for a bunch of 3rd and 4th downs?
No. The last thing is, if you look at the numbers and you look at the metrics, and I think this all kind of stems from the fact that they only rush 4 all the time and they don't do a lot of scheming up front.
Yeah.
The numbers do not say that they have a dominant pass rush.
Sure, like 18th in
they're 18th in pressure rate.
They are 6th in opponent time to throw.
They're 21st in pass rush win rate, ESPN's metric. They're 21st in time to pressure.
How are they 21st in time to pressure, but 6th in time to throw?
I don't know. I don't know what that time, the time to throw stats. I don't know what, I don't even look at those.
The average of how long until the quarterback throws the ball.
Yeah, but I don't look at them because they're so heavily skewed by crazy, like, Drake Maye had like a 16-second drop back last year. Like,
right.
I
always thought they were the same thing and people were just using different terms, the same number.
I'm not
like yards after the catch and yards after the reception.
How quickly does next gen register them getting a pressure on the quarterback?
Let me ask you this to all that. Do you have any more? Do you have any more of these magic numbers?
I mean, I could pull them. I'm just telling you, I don't.
What do your eyes tell you?
My eyes tell me that Hunter and Anderson are beasts, but
yep,
I don't.
That's all I need.
I don't think that. I don't think that this defense is
I know
unbeatable.
what I saw against Pittsburgh. I know what they're not unbeatable, but I know what I saw against Pittsburgh. I know what I saw against Buffalo earlier this year. I know what I saw against a bunch of teams. They get to the quarterback.
Of course they get to the quarterback. Nobody's saying they don't
They
get
get to the quarterback at a high level.
They get to the quarterback at a high level, but I don't think that they get to the quarterback super quickly. I think that there's going to be time back there. Now, we could get into this game and I could be totally wrong.
But they have
and
really,
Hunter and
but it's
Anderson
not
could
just
take
the
over.
front. They have really good coverage too. So it doesn't matter if they're not getting there if nobody's open.
But
That's what happened to Justin Herbert last week.
But I think that is not getting enough credence in this whole Texans defense
The
thing.
coverage?
Yes.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
I think that they take away the first read better than any defense in the league.
Yeah, they have one of the best, top four
But
corner,
that's
top
what it
four
is.
man cover corner in the league.
Like when you play
Lassiter's pretty good.
When you play like these types of teams, obviously the pass rushers get the sacks, they get the strip sacks, they get a lot of the love. And Stingley gets a lot of love too.
He's an all-pro.
But the point I'm trying to get to is just I think this is a eye test wise, it's a scary pass rush. Numbers wise, it's not quite as good as maybe the eye test tells you that it is. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't know if this pass rush is like as good as it gets hyped up to be sometimes. Now, Anderson and Hunter are problems. I really like Rankins on the inside. I think he's a really good player. But I think that you can handle edge pressure. You can chip him. You can move up in the pocket. There's ways to mitigate edge pressure. We saw somebody do it here for 20 years, right? So there's ways to do that. Those are my takes on the Texans defense. I hope it didn't come off as like me saying that they suck, because I don't think they suck.
No, again, you're doing the thing oh no, it was the Broncos, your Bills. I was going to say, like, you're not saying they suck. You're just saying maybe some of the credit is misplaced.
Some of the credit's misplaced. And I would also say that just watching them on tape, they give up more big plays in the passing game than you would expect.
Okay.
They're really hard to run on. And they're really hard in the fourth quarter. If they're playing with leads, the pass rush gets overwhelming. No doubt about it. Like and I think that's exactly what happened to Pittsburgh, right? Like you get behind and, I when I watch Pittsburgh, and maybe like the Allen game is maybe more ridiculous of your kind of argument here. But when I watch Pittsburgh, like Aaron Rodgers can't move. So like I just
and he refuses to be hit.
He's an absolute sitting duck back there. Like there was one sack that I don't even think that any of the Texans pass rushers actually touched.
No, he just fell down. Yeah, because he doesn't want to get hit.
So like I think this is a completely different animal when you go up against a guy like Drake Maye.
But look what they did to your guy Josh Allen.
So on the other side, with the Texans offense, I actually thought watching them on film with Nick Caley, their offensive coordinator, I saw the method to the madness. Like this is not last week with Greg Roman when the Chargers were an absolute mess on offense. Like they couldn't block anybody. Their route combinations stunk. It was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. This Texans offense is better, more well coordinated. It's better coached. Now I think Herbert's a better quarterback than Stroud, but it's close enough. And so I think that this is really just like across the board. Like the Chargers were kind of like JV and this is varsity, right? Like and I think offensively it's the same thing. With the Texans offense, most of the stuff that they're doing is McVay. They have a little bit of McDaniels sprinkled in there from Caley's influence with the Patriots, but he's really running the McVay system. They run a lot of duo, they run a lot of outside zone in the run game, they move the pocket a lot in the play action passing game. And then they have like their bunches and their condensed looks and things like that they throw out of in their drop back passing game. So I think the biggest thing that I see though with them is they've struggled a lot with the pressure plan this year. They've struggled a lot on the offensive line. They've struggled a lot against blitzes. Stroud, when he's kept clean versus when he's under pressure, is a big split. He's 10th in the league in passer rating when he's clean. He's 27th in the league in passer rating while he's under pressure. So there's a huge split there. So I fully expect the Patriots to play this the exact same way they played the Chargers. It's a bad offensive line. It's a quarterback that's not handling pressure very well. It's a quarterback that, with a young offensive coordinator, it doesn't look like he has a lot of answers to pressure at the moment, which is usually a coordination thing, not a quarterback thing. You have to have a plan of like, If they send 0, like, what's my check? What's my hot? Like, what's my plan here? How am I beating this? So in the second half against the Chargers, because I watched the Chargers and kind of crossed over. In the second half against the Chargers just started heating them up, and Minter blitzed him like 40% of the time in the second half. He had like 60 passing yards the entire second half of that game. I fully expect the Patriots to come after him. Now, does that change if Christian Gonzalez doesn't play? Maybe, but if Nico Collins doesn't play on their side,
it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, like how much does it really change?
Especially, I mean, they only have 2 guys with over 41 targets, and it's Collins and Dalton Schultz. So if he has to throw hot a lot, Stroud, that's going to be tough. I'm with you. I think this is a lot like last week with the one key difference of they ultimately ended up blitzing Herbert, and it worked. We talked about it earlier. That was an in-game adjustment. They kind of had to get to that point with the secondary.
Yeah.
Because Herbert had been really good against the blitz this year before that game.
Yeah.
And they had to speed him up first to get to the point where they could do that.
And they beat the offense. They beat the protection more than they beat Herbert in a lot of those cases.
Stroud has not been good against the blitz.
No, he's like 17th against the blitz. It gets even worse if you look at cover 0 and zone blitzes. They've been really, really good against man.
And then
they're like a top 5 team in the league against man.
I'll add to this. Going into that game, admittedly, I didn't know Zach Core's bag ran that deep.
Yeah.
And now I do.
Yeah.
And I think it might run deeper than that because that was the wild card round. You got to imagine he's cooking more up.
Yep.
So shout out to Zach. I mean, great game from Zach Core, but like, let's see it again. I think you blitz the crap out of him.
I agree.
I think you send the house at him, make him throw hot, make him throw to receivers he doesn't trust. Their run game, good game against Pittsburgh. Woody Marks, we both liked him in the draft. First 100-yard game.
It's gotten a little bit better during this win streak of theirs. They run a lot of duo, just double team up front and just try to kind of go downhill at you.
But if they beat you with a heavy run game against the blitz, I think you tip your cap at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I just looking at it, looking at Stroud, especially, watching that Charger game from week 17 it was. That was like a sneaky big game for both teams. And that game, the first half he threw for like $180 and 2 touchdowns because he was clean the whole first half of the game. The second half of the game, Minter started blitzing him like crazy, and he was, I think, 6 for 10 for 59 yards in the final 2 quarters of that game. So I fully expect them to blitz the crap out of him.
Yeah.
I put up the stat on Twitter last night. Out of 29 qualified quarterbacks, he's 28th in EPA against cover 0. He's
in the house.
Yeah, he has not been good against cover 0 this year. And most of the time, just like with the Chargers, there's just free runners coming at him. They just don't know how to block it. It's not so much that, I don't think Stroud's a puddle or anything
Their
like
line's
that.
not great.
Their line's really bad. It's not great.
Well, coming off the Chargers last week, maybe it looks better by comparison, but
they're 30th in the league in pass rush, pass blocking, win rate. They're 32nd. They're actually worse than the Chargers in run blocking.
Yeah. I just felt like I was watching a step up from the Chargers.
You were. I agree. I think they're better than
they're not.
The Chargers were a train wreck.
Trent Brown played well against Steelers.
The Chargers are a train wreck.
Yeah.
That fired their offensive coordinator and their own line coach.
The Texans line is just bad.
The Texans are not firing Nick Caley after this game.
No.
Like that. This is a much more well-coordinated unit than that.
One more thing on Stroud. So, and this is something Patty mentioned when he called in and we didn't get through right away. Mentioned needing to win the turnover battle.
Yep.
So this is not like the Chargers where, okay, they're going to take the ball away, they're going to give the ball away. Houston is one of the best turnover teams in the league. Both sides of the ball.
He had a weird outlier game last week.
That's what I was going to say. But Stroud fumbled five times last week.
Yeah, but like a lot of them, going back and watching it, like it was bad snaps.
5 times. All right, well, that can be a product of...
That's not going to happen again.
That can be a product of the pass rush getting in your head as a center.
No, that's not going to happen again. You don't. It was super weird. They had like 3 aborted snaps. Like that's not going to happen again.
Well, okay, so he still had 2 fumbles plus the interception.
He did.
He only had 2 fumbles all year. Fumbles were kind of a problem for him earlier in his career. He had a much better year with it this year. They've only turned the ball over 12 times. But Pittsburgh kind of got to him, and if you can speed him up, that turnover number is going to go up, and you're going to need that because especially fumbling, they don't really turn the ball over.
So that was my last like big picture thing about this game, and then we'll take the rest of the calls and everything. Field position really matters in a game like this.
Yes.
And that relates to turnover margin. The Texans offense averages the 3rd best starting field position in the NFL because of their defense.
2nd best.
It's 3rd.
I'm looking at it right now, second best.
It might be tied for second, but it's like 32.5 yards. I just looked this up.
It's 32.5. It says second.
Okay.
So is this one of those things like the different metric for time of possession?
We get in so much semantics arguments on this
It's
show.
not semantics. It's second. It's not third. I'm looking at Pro Football Reference right now.
I literally looked this up last night. It said it was third on the same website that you're looking at.
Let me see. It's probably tied for second then. I'll find it.
It's too funny. Anyways, second or third, okay? The big reason why is because they're third in the league in takeaways on defense, right? They turn the ball over 29 times on defense. So the defense is setting up the offense, whether it's the defense scoring on its own or it's the offense getting on a short field and then scoring on a short field.
They are tied for second with the 49ers. That's why you saw third.
Thank you. So third.
Tied for second.
Well, my guess is that there's a bunch of decimals there that Pro Football Focus just filters out because no one needs to see the decimals.
Yeah, maybe.
So they rank it correctly, but they just don't show you
No, because then their back end would see, because it gives the ranking individually a second. So that's got to be tied for second.
Okay. They're very good in that category because of the defense. The defense puts them on short fields. The defense turns the ball over. If you look at their per drive stats offensively and their EPA, it's not a very good offense. They're 20th in points per drive. They're 21st or something like that in EPA per play.
They're 21st in points per drive.
See, well, they're tied again.
No, that one wasn't tied. They're 21st.
No, they're definitely tied. I looked this up last night.
Looking at on Pro Football Reference?
Yes.
21st. I'm looking at it
was
right
2.0,
now.
right?
2.0. The Commanders are 2.3. They're 20th. And
what did I say?
They are tied with the Eagles. Sorry, but they're tied for 21st, 22nd.
I literally
21st.
I literally just said they're tied with somebody, and you said they're not tied with anybody.
Not for 20th.
Oh my God, whatever. 20th, 21st.
They're also tied for 18th in yards per drive.
The point is that
plays per drive. Sorry.
They don't have to drive the field a lot.
Yeah.
But if you put them on long fields, I'm not super confident that they're going to consistently drive the field for points. If you give them points by fumbling or pick sixing or Drake Maye fumbles on his own 10-yard line or something like that, then they're going to take the points. But if you make CJ Stroud go 70, 80 yards at a time, I feel better. I feel pretty good.
Can I give you one more take that you're probably going to hate?
Yes.
You get an opportunity to take the points in this game, you take the points.
Let's see how the game unfolds.
If it unfolds the way we're kind of describing, take the points.
Let's see how the game unfolds. I think there might be more points than we think.
Take the points.
I think there might be more points than we
This
think.
playoffs has been a cavalry of comedy of coaches not taking the points.
Agreed.
And I think it's hurt them more than it's helped them. Fine. A couple times it's worked out. I think it hasn't worked out more than it has. Take the points.
So I think that's pretty much all I had. I think but really to me that's if you want to kind of whittle all the crap I just threw at you down to one thing. To me, this game feels very winnable if you don't turn the ball over.
Basically, yeah.
And that's way easier said than done. Against a defense like this
last week, and they turned the ball over.
This one doesn't feel winnable if you turn it over multiple times.
No.
Because I don't think that the Texans offense is going to poop its pants like the Chargers offense did.
To take the points argument. And look, it ultimately ended up being more than a 3-point game, but how different is it if the Chargers kick the field goal after that fumble and go up 3-0?
I think
D'Amico Ryan's going to take the points.
I just think that on both sides, I think that people are anticipating another, slugfest, another rock fight. I think this game gets into the 20s. I don't think that this is a super low scoring game.
What's the total?
It's just the way I feel about it. I think that Drake Maye
No, it's fair. I meant to look up the total earlier this week. I never did.
Is gonna be two heavyweights standing in the middle of the ring exchanging haymakers. And so there's going to be some turnovers probably by the Patriots. There's going to be some points by the Patriots, and we'll see where it comes out in the wash.
40.5 total.
I go over.
And then wait, it's a 3-point spread.
It might be 23-20, but I go over. I don't think this is going to be 16-3 or, whatever, make it a closer game. I really don't. But we'll see. Can I take these calls?
Go for it.
Okay. Let's go to Jeremiah in Framingham. What's up, Jeremiah? Hello. Going once. Okay. Call back in and we'll get you on. Sean is in Vancouver. What's up, Sean?
I was looking at the Guardian cap that Wilson was wearing, and it seemed tighter or snug. It looked good, like where the other Guardian caps from other players like Petrie or something like that, they kind of look like misfitting bubbles. So I was wondering if you noticed that or knew anything about that. And Alex, I have one question for you, and this might be a little tricky.
Okay.
I know a lot of the players with the Patriots from last year who were let go because they didn't fit the system or there was something that they wanted to go a different way. But I don't think that's the case with David Andrews. Like, I think David Andrews, if he were completely healthy, like the way he was before the injury, I think he'd still be there instead of Bradbury. I think Bradbury's like similar size, and they wanted someone like that, where Andrews probably wasn't ready to make the team coming back after that injury. So that's why he's not there, and that's why he retired. So I'll leave you with that, and go Pats.
Thanks, Sean.
I'm not sure.
I don't know
what the question was in there.
I don't know either, but I don't think that Andrews was in their plans.
I mean, the injury definitely didn't help, but
yeah, but it's all it's all part of it.
Right.
And, guys like Andrews, Juwan Bentley, Dietrich Wise, Jonathan Jones.
Did they say on the broadcast Juwan Bentley was retired?
Yeah,
because he tweeted something about not retired.
Well, yeah, I don't think that they thought those guys had a ton left in the tank and were ready to move on.
Some of it was stylistically too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's asked because I do the podcast with David. I don't have that much insight into that, but I don't. The injury definitely didn't help.
No, I mean the injury was the number one reason that he's not playing for sure. I would think. I mean, I don't know that, but I mean, I think if he was healthy, he probably would have tried to at least come to camp and give it a go. All right, DJ is in Arizona. What's up, DJ?
Yo, what's up, Evan? What's up, Alex?
How we doing?
You good? Good. How about yourself?
Good.
Yes, sir. So I love the work y'all do. I appreciate
Thank you.
All the numbers and stuff. I love listening in, hearing all the nerd talk. That wasn't ever my thing, so hearing y'all do it gives me a lot more insight, and I do appreciate it. I love how Paul gives you heckle on it on PU, Evan. It cracks me up.
Awesome.
But the reason I called in was because I seen on Gonzo's backup Instagram page, he posted, "I'm back" by G Herbo, and it was him and Milton Williams in a post. So that may be indicating that he passed concussion protocol and he may be out there for practice. That's just what I was calling in to let y'all know about. Hopefully it's some good news, and I hope you have a great day. And Evan, I'll see you on PU later.
Sounds good, DJ. Yeah, I did see that on his alt account, not his main marketing account.
I didn't even know he has an alt account. What is it called? Finsta? Is that the alt account, or is that something else?
No, I think a Finsta is like you're hiding your identity on a Finsta.
Okay.
It's so that you can surf and do things without people knowing who you are. This is his own personal Instagram, and not his
business one. I
his
gotcha.
brand.
Okay,
right. He did post that. Alex and I will be out at practice at the 2:00 hour. We'll find out. Mike Vrabel's going to talk.
Yeah, he might just been talking about Milton Williams being back. That was my first thought. Was he was like, "Oh my God, Milt's back! Look at him having a big game after the injury, just hyping his buddy up."
Yeah. Either way, we're going to find out in a couple hours. So there's really no reason to speculate. But the one little piece I'll say, Travion Henderson did play the following week.
So Travion Henderson played the following week. Jared Wilson missed 2 weeks. Kayshon Boutte missed 1. You just don't. Concussions are weird. You don't know.
You don't know, but I think that
it's not impossible. But
it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And the one thing that gives me hope, more so than Gonzo's cryptic Instagram post, on Monday, Mike Vrabel was asked about it, and he said they wouldn't allow him to come back in the game, meaning the independent neuro wouldn't allow him to come back in the game. Which tells me that maybe Gonzo was pushing to come back in the game, and they were saying no. So that is just a small thing that maybe I'm looking too much into. But I also feel like if it was no chance and Gonzo was really feeling it, then I don't know if you would have phrased it that way.
He came back in the game. He played a snap. I thought it was interesting. They ruled him out literally. Was it it was during the kneel downs? I don't remember if it was the last kneel down, but they're getting ready to kneel down, and there's somebody in the press box who announces over one of the PR. I think it's
Buddy.
Buddy, right? Is doing it this year. Will announce Christian Gonzalez ruled out, Christian Gonzalez doubtful, whatever, blah blah blah. There's somebody who says that audibly, and I'm thinking, like, why are they announcing this, right? The game's over. Why are they announcing it?
I think that it's when it's a concussion and it's like a protocol thing, I think it might,
they have to do it.
might be a requirement.
But the fact it was that late.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's, 20 minutes of real time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jeremiah is back. He's in Framingham. What's up, Jeremiah?
Hey, guys. I'm a big fan of the show.
Thank you.
I just had two quick questions. So, one, I was in the stadium last game, and I heard Stephon Diggs' comments after that Gillette wasn't loud. I just want to know, like, what was going, like, how in the world was that not a playoff environment? Like, I felt like we were bringing it. I just want to hear, like, what you guys think about other stadiums compared to Gillette. And then real quick, too, do you think this is the type of defense that you can just bomb on, like, in the first drive, like, early on, just get, like, a couple of shots in? Because I feel like if you get two, like, 30-yard touchdowns on this team, I think that'll be the difference in a game. I'll take it off with that.
Yeah, thanks for the call. So on the stadium, on the atmosphere,
I think the Diggs thing. Remember when Julian Edelman was yelling at Tom Brady, "You're too old"?
Yeah,
I think it was one of those.
You think he was trolling?
I think it was like, they can get like he knows there's another game. He wants to push you guys to the next level. I think that was.
I agree.
I think it was a little playful. Yeah, I don't think he really.
Yeah,
meant that.
he's got like a kind of dry, sarcastic way about him, which remember in training camp when he was talking about whether he'd be ready week one, and it became like kind of a whole thing. Yeah, because people don't. That's the just getting to. I don't want to say get to know him. I don't know him.
Getting familiar with the way he speaks and things like that. No, I think that was all right. Yeah, they were loud, but we got another game next week. Let's see if they can be like. Yeah, I think
I thought it was a good atmosphere.
Yeah,
now,
I did.
On the whole, I don't think that Gillette. And I don't think it's the fans' fault.
No, it's the way it's built
all the time. Now it's better now that the big scoreboard closing the lighthouse end a little bit more, but it's not quite as loud
as
other places.
There's a lot of places for sound to escape.
Yeah,
sound travels.
I've never been to Seattle, but Kansas City, that place is raucous. And I'm not picking on Patriots fans and saying that they're doing a bad job. It's just a different environment. It's a different stadium setup. It's different geography. Even in Buffalo, that place gets
right. The decibels aren't going to be as loud here again, just because of the construction.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great environment. I thought the crowd, like I got chills a couple times during that game.
Press box was shaking a few times.
Press box was shaking. Like I hadn't felt that way in a few years. Well, honestly, it was a little similar to when they got up in the Bills game, but that was a playoff environment. Yeah. That was so. I thought the awesome thing to me was you had, what was the first thing they announced the starting lineups. It was thunder. So Will Campbell got a big pop. Steph got a big pop coming out of the tunnel. And then the big MVP chance for Drake into the entire crowd singing the national anthem, which was kind of cool. I don't think I've ever seen that at Gillette. I've seen it at TD.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that at Gillette. And then that went right into a Seven Nation Army chant leading up to kickoff. So they were, and then
I love how you know all this.
And well, because I remember thinking,
I definitely was not paying attention to.
I'm like, this environment rules, and then the Patriots get the ball first.
Yeah,
dead silent.
Yeah,
when the Patriots, I was like weirdly silent.
It was also
when the Patriots got the ball. So no, the crowd was locked in.
It was also like 6-3 for the majority of the game, so it wasn't exactly one of those games that has a ton of things to cheer about.
Well, no, 6-3 game, you're getting loud for the defense a lot because the defense is the
I know.
I thought it was a good environment.
Come on. Like, we all know that people want to see touchdowns. No one wants to sit there and watch a pun fest.
No, but the fans got loud. Like, the fans didn't, the energy didn't get sucked out, even as it was low scoring.
I know it was a Super Bowl, so it's different, but like, Super Bowl 53 was the same way.
Okay,
it was 13-3.
Credit to the fans who kept the energy up, even in a game where the energy usually gets sucked out. They were loud on third downs, things like that.
Like, the whole argument of like it gets loud in defensive struggles. It does not.
It does if the crowd knows what they're doing.
No, it doesn't.
I'll pull a page out of Diggs' playbook, though.
It gets loud. Like when you going back and forth, up and down the field, that's when the place gets bananas.
No, sometimes it gets quieter because like, all right, we know they're not going to get a stop here. I've seen the crowd get kind of lethargic on that. I'll pull a page out of Diggs' playbook, though. I think they can be louder.
Okay.
I think y'all can be louder.
All right, let's take Eldred's call and then we'll wrap it up. What's up, Eldred?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Hey,
good.
Hey, Evan?
Yes, sir.
I love your enthusiasm, but you got to be kidding me, right? You think this is going to be like, look, it ain't going to be no cakewalk. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a fight.
Absolutely.
And Drake Maye, I want I want him to use his legs, but them boys will hit him. So I don't want to use it that much because they lay the wood. And those guys over the top, most teams that did that, they had speed. We only got one guy, and that didn't, but we don't use them that much. So I'm just worried. Only thing I'm worried about is Will Campbell and get walked back like they did last game because Anderson and Hunter are looking at that. And that's what I'm worried about,
Yeah, that's what we're all worried about, Eldred. Thanks for the call. Sorry, we gotta get going here. But look, I didn't make it. I tried to say it as many times as I could.
No, you think Texas defense sucks?
It was not meant to come off as like I thought it was going to be a cakewalk. I think where I'm trying to kind of get at to put a bow on this though, it's the playoffs, guys. Like these are all going to be good teams now. Like you're out of the wild card round. You're not going to get the tomato can now. Like you're in it now. Like you're in the tournament now. There's 8 teams left. 75% of the league is at home right now. There's 8 teams left. You're going to play good teams. You're going to play good defenses. You're going to probably play pretty good quarterbacks. Like this is not going to be a cakewalk for the rest of the way. So to come in here and say, yeah, they can't, why even show up on Sunday? This Texan defense is too good. I don't feel that way. You're a good team. They're a good team. They're both teams are going to be able to make some plays. That's how I feel. Yeah. Now we'll see who wins. We'll see who wins, and it should be fun. Alex and I will be back next week, win or lose. Hopefully win, but win or lose. Yep. We'll be back next week. We'll either be doing a autopsy on the season and starting to look at the off season, or we'll be talking about the AFC Championship game. And I'm laughing because that is just
breaking down our Saturday hate watch.
That's absolutely bananas. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that a little bit as well. And hopefully the Patriots are either going to Denver or the Buffalo Bills are coming here to host the AFC Championship game like we all thought when the season started. Patriots Unfiltered will be up in 9 minutes at noon, so I have much more on the Texans and the Patriots. Mike Vrabel at 1 o'clock, practice in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll see if Gonzo is out there. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Hey, this is Alex. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.